Hi everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. It's Monday again, and I have a question today from Megan. So Megan says, something that's been bothering me recently, and I would love, love, love your opinion on, is how does the new paradigm apply to being reactive and defensive in certain situations? Is there an approach that could help provide insight in the moments when a conversation is really frustrating for us? I often find myself, even mere seconds later, wishing I had approached a conversation and my interpretation of it slightly differently, and wishing I had that wisdom just a little bit earlier. Any tips? So I love this, Megan, and yes, believe it or not, there's a super, super easy, super obvious, super clear way to see earlier and earlier and sooner when we're feeling all reactive or defensive, I think you say, yes, or all caught up, or even, now this sounds too good to be true, but even when we are at a high probability for saying something that we might later look back on and say, if I had been a little clearer minded, I wouldn't have said that. So what I'm going to share shows us our reactivity, shows us our defensiveness, shows us with a fairly high probability our likelihood of looking back and wishing we had done things differently. And it shows us also what you say, that we are caught up in our own interpretation. So it's a perfect gauge for all of that. It's when this is going on, what I'm going to reveal in just a second, when this is going on with us, we can know, oh, my mind is really interpreting this in a certain way. Not seeing the big picture of it, maybe not seeing, not feeling as open and expansive around it as we want to, but seeing it in the way that our mind sees it. So, are you ready? Here's the drum roll. It is the way you feel. Sorry, I have to take a little pause. We're getting new floors downstairs, so if you hear banging, please ignore it. Now that I pointed it out, it'll be much harder to ignore, but it's the way we feel. So, Megan, when you're in a conversation, there it is. When you're in a conversation and you're just hanging out and there are no red flags and there's no sense of defensiveness or reactiveness or any of that stuff coming up within you that you physically, emotionally feel, right? I mean, this is a real experience. You feel it, When that's not there, awesome, keep talking. Not a problem, right? You're just in a conversation, you're talking with your friend or your husband or your coworker and whatever. No big deal, right? Everything's just flowing. Now, when you're in other conversations, Megan, and you start to feel something, anything, you start to feel that pit in your stomach, you start to feel yourself tightening, you start to feel your mind racing, you start to get defensive and have that little inclination of wanting to defend yourself or make your point, or that righteousness that comes up sometimes when we're talking with people and our opinions look really big and real. Whenever you feel any of that, that is your sign. Will you notice it and stop and let your mind relax and change course all the time? Heck no, no way. But you can get better and better at it the more you see. And it's not a thing that you get better and better at by you doing something. It's just something that you come to see. And the more you see this, the better you get. It's like the more you see it and feel it, and somewhere in your understanding, oh, this tension, this tightness, this righteousness, this reactivity, this is showing me that my mind is really involved. This is showing me that I'm not just here in the moment with an open mind anymore. That's why we have those feelings. Isn't that awesome? I mean, it is literally why we have this uncomfortable feeling at times. It's there to show us, hey, you're not here anymore. You're not seeing things as they are. You're not in a nice open place. You're getting kind of contracted and kind of reactive, and your mind's interpreting things a certain way. That's always such a clear, beautiful sign for us. Now, here's what'll happen, Megan. You'll feel that, and that feeling will be so tight, and you'll be even more righteous, and you'll say, well, no, I really need to tell them what I think, and you'll go off in that direction again. And that's happened many, many times, or you wouldn't have written this question, right? So that's okay. That's going to happen. Like, it's nothing new. You've been living through it all this time. So that'll happen. You'll feel it that way. It's okay. Your mind will eventually relax. Like you say, sometimes even seconds later, you'll see, oh, I should have said that differently. So you go back and apologize. You go back and say it a different way. You say, hey, I was really caught up. Here's what I really meant. Or, you figure that out. You deal with it however you deal with it. So you're going to kind of go down that road at times. We all do. But what's really cool about seeing, oh, my feeling level is always there to show me exactly what you're asking about. I mean, it's like the clearest, most visceral, emotional, physical sign you could ever want. It's pretty cool. So there's such a great answer to your question, and you have full access to it all the time. It's just a matter of coming to see that, oh, this feeling is showing me that. Because I think how it tends to look to us is we get a little tight, we get a little righteous, whatever. And like I said in my little example, like then we're really going to stick it to them. Then, no, we are right. It starts to look like the opposite of what it really means. The more uptight we get, the more restrictive we get, the more reactive we are, the more we think we need to say what's on our minds. And it is the complete opposite. Got that? Like, total opposite. The benefit and the beauty and the gift in our emotional state and our feelings and our tightness, all of that, is that it shows us that we're up in our heads, that we are full of subjective interpretation, that we are full of reactivity, that we are not seeing things in an open, big way, that our mind is seeing things in the habitual way it always tends to see things. So we get to take that tightness as a really sweet, really kind, really gentle reminder to just like, oh, I'm not seeing clearly. This is one of those moments. This is the answer to my question that I sent in for Ask Amy. The answer is, when I feel this, that's how I can start to relax. And it's really great, Meghan. Like, you're going to start seeing this sooner and sooner without you having to work at it, without you having to pull this along as a strategy, just by getting that sense of what it means. Because what we tend to think it means is the complete opposite. Again, like, tightness means fight for your point. No. Tightness means take a step back, and you will see more. Like, your vision will open, you'll see new things, and your likelihood of saying something you're going to regret later, way lower. Way lower. So super simple, super easy, super clear, built-in guidance system to answer this exact question, Meghan. It's just a question of seeing how that guidance works and getting to a point where we just see it sooner and sooner, and that will happen. It just comes from seeing it. Once you see it, you can't help but wake up to it sooner and sooner and earlier in those conversations. So thank you so much, Meghan, for sending this great question. I know it's something everyone can relate to. Thank you guys all for listening. Have a great Monday, a great week, and I will talk to you next week.